Let's get a quick take on Denver Bronco Brandon Marshal meeting with Denver Police Chief Robert White this week to discuss why he chose to take a knee during the National Anthem before a Broncos game. Patty Cahoon from Westward. At the very least, I haven't kept up with all the different football players in different cities, but this seemed at least one of the football players who did make this protest, following through and learning more about the issue. There seemed a little more credibility there, at least in my eyes. What did you think?
I thought it was great. I thought it was great that Robert White took the time to meet with him, and Chief White has been at least out in the community, unlike some people. I thought it was great that he asked Brandon Marshal about what suggested things he could do to help further the education. And as far as I can tell, I like it that Brandon Marshal hasn't whined yet that he lost, what, 3 endorsements?
Mm-hmm. David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. What did you think of the meeting? It seemed like a productive response from someone taking a stand publicly.
Definitely good for Chief White and good for Brandon Marshal, as Patty said. And Marshall actually got a new endorsement for his anti-flag stance, so it may balance out. And I think it's the endorsement money is sort of minor compared to the salary money. I would say I'd respect him more as somebody who's trying to be thoughtful and responsible in his life if he didn't illegally target the heads of opposing players, which has a high risk of causing concussions and injuries. You know, you want to stop illegal violence against black people. How about not hitting Cam Newton on the head in a flagrant violation of the rules for which you were fined $25,000, which is approximately the amount he says he's going to be donating to charities.
Eric Sonne, political analyst. What about the optics of the situation? We talk about that all the time. What do you think?
Well, David stole my thunder. I mean, that endorsement money could have gone some distance to pay the $25,000 fine. I basically agree with what's been said. This is not my protest, but I certainly respect that it's other people's protest, and I certainly respect their right to carry out that action. In a perfect world, it would have been nice for Brandon Marshal to meet with Chief White and become more informed, perhaps before the protest as opposed to after the fact. But we don't live in a perfect world. I give both Chief White and Brandon Marshal credit for how they have conducted themselves. I would love to see Brandon Marshal perhaps go on a series of ride-alongs with Denver police officers and into some of the tougher, more difficult parts of Denver to see what a cop on an 8-hour shift, what they're confronted with on a regular basis. But all in all, I think it's been handled about as well as you can handle it.
Penfield Tate, attorney from Q-Tech Rock, also a longtime state lawmaker, rounds out our panel. Finish up for us.
You know, I think both Chief White and Brandon Marshal are to be complimented for meeting and discussing and handling this. And I understand Eric's point, but in a perfect world, there'd be no need for the protest whatsoever. Right. We wouldn't be there. And, you know, I have 3 uncles who were all police officers. And back when they served, this wasn't an issue. This wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So unfortunately, we have the protests, but more fortunately, we're having conversations about the underlying issues.